Well, welcome back, everybody, to Music Talk. That's Mike.
That's Dave.
This week, we're going to bring to you a new one. This is the Blacktop Mojo CD. Looks like that. Kind of, I'm not happy about the CD cover, I got to tell you. I mean, they put the definition of rock and roll on there. It's kind of like when you go to a place that says original New York style pizza. If they have to tell you what it is, it's probably not going to taste like it. So I don't know why they did that. Anyway, then you got this bust, these Greek god bust of the band on there. It's kind of weird. There's no real title for the album. It's just called Blacktop Mojo, which is the name of the band. Anyway, got the picture of the band in here. Looks like that. Little Blacktop Mojo behind the CD. Backo's got the tracks on there. Kind of hard to read. They kind of, blended it in. You got the Colosseum, the Greek Colosseum back there in the background. Same kind of thing on the CD. No change. Just the Blacktop Mojo. It's put out by Come On Records, I'm guessing. Looks like a independent type thing. Independent label, maybe. I've never really heard of them before. The record label. This was produced by a guy named Philip Mosley, and I haven't been able to find a lot of information on the guy. So I don't know what all he's done other than Blacktop Mojo stuff, Yep. You got the band. The band is Matt Curtis on bass, Ryan Kiefer on guitar, Matt James on vocals, Chuck Wepfer on guitar, and Nathan Gillis on drums. And again, you get the Greek bust with their names on it. So the inside, it's not too bad. I mean, you got the black writing on the red, some, pictures of stuff. You got the knife here, kind of going for like a Julius Caesar type thing, Romeo Juliet every now and then. I guess is why they went with all this, Greek stuff or something, maybe. I don't know. So anyway, looks like that. So, the album, I was looking forward to this. I started listening to these guys a couple years ago. They've been around since 2014. And I caught up with them in 2019. I started listening to some of their stuff, like Under the Sun came out. And I went back and listened to Burn the Ships from 2017. So I was really into them. And then this came out just now, so I've been looking forward to it. And, it's not bad. I mean, I was expecting a little better, but again, it's not bad. So
yeah, in all honesty, I like the album. I didn't get tired of any of the tracks. And they're a good band. And one major plus to me was no triggers on the drums.
Yeah,
I really liked that. Now you were saying you were having, when we were talking earlier, having trouble getting the sound out of the drums. I didn't really have that kind of problem here. And the only thing I listened to it on was the Amazon high def.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried it on 5 or 6 different ways of listening to it, and I couldn't stand the drum sound. I mean, I like the hi-hat sound. He had a good hi-hat sound, but man, those toms, I just couldn't stand them toms.
Well, I'm there were a couple times, I don't know, I think it was probably mixed down the wrong way.
Yeah, I have a lot of issues with the mix.
I'm running a really full system here. I mean, I got a system that goes all the way down to 20 hertz.
Yeah.
All the way up. And, to 20K. And there were a couple times he hit some of those low toms and it resonated and rattled the floor, and like I was saying, I heard his bass drum on a couple of songs. There was some nice resonance going on with it. Yeah. But it was in the real sub low area.
I hated everything about the drum sound. I hated it, especially after coming off of last week's Evanescence.
Right. No,
Hunt, and then you get this one, and it was like, it actually made it hard for me to listen to the CD because the drums were sounding. It's literally sounded like he was playing on plastic trash cans to me.
That's some bad engineering there.
Yeah. And like I
Yeah.
said, I tried it because I was like, man, maybe it's just the CD. And then I went and pulled it up, and then I tried it on Amazon. I couldn't get anything through the headphones, through my systems, through back there, through the amps. I couldn't get it to sound, man, it was just bad. But,
Well, on the breakdown though, I mean, like, okay, take Wicked Woman, for example.
yeah. Yeah.
And
That's the first song on here.
yeah, the first thing I heard when I heard that song, so it sounds a little like Glenn Hughes, but then it broke right down and I couldn't help but go, that's Rob Thomas.
Yeah. He's got a lot of that Rob Thomas. When you said that earlier, I was like, man, he sounds a lot like somebody, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And I was thinking Daltrey a little bit. And then
Yeah.
the guy from Shinedown, he has a little bit of that. But when you said Rob Thomas, I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of that now that you mention it on here. Which, Wicked Woman, the first song, that's a great riff. I mean, it comes in just kicking butt right off the bat. The chorus reminds me a lot of something, and I couldn't figure it out. But there's another song out there that has that chorus, and I wish I could remember it. But still, overall, I love the guitar harmonies in it. The guitar solo was great. Both guys were rocking the guitar. I mean, the first song, I loved it. I mean, it caught me right off the bat.
Yep.
And then the second song, I had a little hard time with it. It's called Bed Tunde, which is kind of like a play on the Ted Bundy thing. And reading through the words and stuff, I'm trying to figure out what he's talking about and why he named it Bed Tunde. I couldn't come up with anything. It's very confusing to me. The song was okay. This one, he really sounded a lot like Daltrey to me, but now that you bring in the Rob Thomas aspect, definitely has that sound.
Yeah.
I didn't really like the all that ahs in there. I wasn't big on that. And then this one, the guitar solo was so far down in the mix that all I could hear was the rhythm guitars and everything else, and you could barely hear the guitar solo.
Well, the background vocals, that where they had all those different, I know that they either went in and double and triple tracked themselves, or they brought people in. It reminded me a little bit of what Rival Sons did on that one tune that they have on their newest album.
That Shooting Stars or something.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it did. I think it's really just the one guy doing all the vocals, though.
Is it?
Yeah, because I mean, I was listening to it, and it doesn't. There is a song later on that has a couple females on it.
Right. Well,
but it sounds like to me that is him, that he's doing all those parts. So
probably the one that I'm thinking of is the one where you got the kind of the female vocals in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got Latex, Rewind, Jealousy.
Yeah, the Latex. I like the acoustic intro on Latex. I thought that was pretty good.
I thought Latex was a decent song. I like the mode and the mood that.
Yeah, and at the last chorus or last chorus there, when they do that cut on it, when he's doing the Latex and they do that, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
and then
Rewind's a good tune. I mean, none of the songs in the list of this thing actually put me off. I was
Rewind. I really like the words. There was some really good lyrics on that one. And it had a great guitar solo. Again, it was a little bit behind everything else, but it was a great guitar solo, I thought. Now, to me, I don't know how you felt about Jealousy, Make Believe, and Darling, I Won't Tell. But in my opinion, they should have put all three of those in one song.
Yeah.
Because they were almost identical with the guitar intro and then, the softer, and then they come in and all the words kind of flow together. If they would have called that like Jealousy, Suite 1, 2, and 3, that would have made the song a lot better to me.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, I agree. Like the Beatles did. They put together just a melody, a medley of 3 songs. You start it off, you just build into it and just bridge it into the next song. Just bridge it.
And because they were so similar and the words kind of work together, and really the sixth song, Make Believe, is only 1:18. So it was like a real quick interlude there. And it just kind of like brought them, it would have been a perfect longer song with 3 different suites, I think. But I liked it.
I like what I liked about Make Believe now, and I don't know, you're saying it was 1:18 on the high def thing. It was 1:21. That's a big deal, 3. But anyway, I like the Spanish flavor that they had in there. The Spanish guitar thing. It was kind of like, okay, that's pretty cool, because it broke the mono tone that they've had going with the guitars in the background. It just plunged.
Well, he had that good sound on it. They had a lot of reverb kicked up on there with some delay in it. I didn't like the last real fast picking thing. I thought that he lost it there for a minute when he was trying to do that, and I was like, probably should have left that piece out. But I do like what he was doing with it. It just wasn't quite right yet. I don't know. It was weird to me, but I did like it. It was a breakdown. And then Darling, I Won't Tell kind of has that same thing. And I felt like they left out a little bit after that bridge. They went to that breakdown. They should have kept that breakdown a little bit longer on Darling, I Won't Tell, because they had a chance that they were changing the song up enough to where it wasn't following, like you were saying earlier in the album. Everything kind of sounded, it was going on like a monotone.
Right.
Then when they got to the Darling, I Won't Tell, they did this breakdown in there after the bridge, and then it just kind of ended quickly. And I was like, man, they should have brought that on a little further. It would have made the song a lot better. But it was a good song altogether. So.
It was a good song. And I think what we're witnessing, because they stepped out on their own to do this album.
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, I couldn't even find any reference to a producer, and you did. And I have no idea who the engineer was. There's no out there on that vast land of the internet. So
yeah. I mean, it's not a lot of these guys are probably just closely related to the band.
Yeah, and you go to their site, Blacktop Mojo's site. You get a picture of them, black background.
Not the bust.
Oh,
you actually get the picture.
They look like they could have been hanging out with the Allman Brothers back in the.
They daggum sure do.
But there's no names. They don't even point out who's who. The only reason why I know who the lead singer is because there is one page that I went to that showed them actually in concert, and he's got the mic and holding his hand out, and people are grabbing his hand. And that's the only reason why I know who the singer is from the picture.
Yeah. Well, there's a video out for Wicked Woman. You can catch that on
probably what that picture was. Yeah. But song number 8, Do It for the Money. That's the one I was thinking about that had the vocals in there that reminded me of Rival Sons.
Right. Well, that one actually had Regina McCrary and Alfreda McCrary backing vocals, which I forgot to look them up because I think I've heard their names before.
Yeah. I think they're actually part of a female band that
yeah, I think so. And they were doing the backup vocals on it, which this song I thought was really good. It's kind of a heavy song. Remind me a little bit like the first one. The acapella vocals, I mean, it was different at the beginning. I thought it was a good song, I mean, it wasn't bad.
I did too. And you get to Hold Me Down.
Mm-hmm.
And right off the bat, I'm thinking Leonard Skinner and Blackberry Smoke.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely had that feel. It had that Southern rock type,
Either one of those bands could have done that. Now, Cough, I really can't tell you a whole lot about that. That one kind of just slipped by me.
Well, Cough to me was almost just like Rewind. The mix is terrible on that one, but it sounded like that song, Now I'm Here from Queen. It's got that now I'm here. And then it stopped.
Right.
So it almost was identical to the beginning of that, which, I mean, I have a problem with people vamping on that one chord like that. like they do. They did it twice here. They did it on Latex, and then they did it also on I think it was Rewind. They did it on Rewind, and then they did it on Cough. And it's like they took a lot of time to structure these solos on every one of these songs. Their solo sections were so not complicated, so to speak, but they were definitely focal points of the songs. But then, like the rest of the song, they just kind of said, whatever, let him sing.
Yeah. Then you get to Stratus Melancholia.
Melancholia. Yeah.
I liked that song. If this is the song, and I'm pretty sure this is it, where it had the twin guitar parts and the guitar solo and stuff.
Right.
What it was. And it was so much reminding me of a good prog rock song. It could have been, Yes could have taken that song and totally turned it, and just turned it out.
Well, that song to me, what they did, when they went to the middle, they had this breakdown in the middle, and it was pretty proggy sounding song.
Yeah.
And in the middle, they did this little moody thing, and it needed a guitar solo there, but they didn't put one there. And then they get to the end of the song, in the last 30 seconds, they cram this crazy guitar solo in where the guy plays every lick he knows. And I'm like, why would you do that? Why?
This is where they should have reached out and grabbed a Jeff Beck or a Steve Vai and brought them in and gone, can you do a solo for us?
Well, I mean,
I'm serious. I mean, it's like, because I think here's what I'm seeing with the band. And I got to say too, now to me, the best songs on the album
was Taillights.
Do It for the Money and Taillights.
Taillights was a great song, man.
Taillights, man. Love, yeah. But they needed, I think what's happening here with them is now the rhythm section, I felt like it's tight.
Mm-hmm.
They probably, now luckily on my system, I'm able to hear everything that's laid out, and I didn't miss anything in their music. But I can see what you're talking about, because the fluff for all the music was coming from the subwoofer.
Yeah.
That's where it was at. But what I'm saying is they're reaching for things that they haven't grown into yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely feel like that they could have done the same couple guys wrote just about every song.
Yeah.
There's a couple, like the Stratus Melancholia was written by the whole band, which was odd because, I mean, as the whole band effort, that's what you got, which I know I'm not trying to knock them for that, but you felt like there was a pattern for sure in every song that they were doing. You had the softer vocal and then the screaming, it was all kind of the same.
Right.
Yeah,
great voice.
I love his voice.
I wish they hadn't covered it up with doubling it, in the screaming portions, and which even made it sound more like Rob Thomas. Yeah, I mean, it did. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I honestly enjoy his vocal better than Rob Thomas.
Yeah.
Rob Thomas gets on the nerves the way he sings.
Yeah. Well, I like this guy. I like the way he sings. I think he's got a great voice. That's what brought me to him a couple of years ago, because I heard him and I'm like, man. And then you see him and he doesn't look anything like he sounds. So It's like, that's weird. But anyway, I think they got a great band. I think the band, I really like the band, and I don't want people to think I'm knocking them, because I just don't think this CD was done well. I don't think it was produced well. I don't think it was mixed well. And I think the album cover is just atrocious. I mean, that's just a dumb looking album cover. I'm sorry, but if I saw that in a record store, I wouldn't buy that. I really wouldn't. I mean, you gotta have something to sell yourself, and that album cover is not going to sell you. Now, fortunately, I knew who they were when I got it, so I knew what I was coming into. I think some of the songs were a little bit, average. I really like the first one. I really like the Jealousy song. I thought that was a great song. which I wish they would have put 5, 6, and 7 into one. I think it would have been a really good epic thing there. I loved Taillights.
Yeah.
And
Taillight was the one that rang the bell with me.
Yeah, and it's the last song.
They opened it up with a great song. They ended it with a great song. And if you look at it, almost in the middle, the other good song is right there in the middle.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. So, I mean, you could have left off a couple songs like, you know, the Bed Tunde I could have done without. Maybe the Hold Me Down, that was just average. That was the, you know, the one that you thought sounded like Blackberry Smoke.
Yeah, and Leonard Skinner.
Right. But they, you know, they scattered a couple in between that were pretty good. But yeah, you're right. They started it good, they ended it good. And then in the middle, you had a couple things going on. But I mean, I do like this band, and I think the songs could have been there with a little bit better production, maybe. I mean, I thought the bass was just muddy, and that's a modern thing going on these days because, and we don't really talk about the bass much, you know, even though I'm a bass player, but it drives me crazy when bass sounds don't have any treble in them.
Well, yeah, that bugs me too. And I remember when Rick used to change his strings in Boot Hill, and I loved it because it sounded like the low notes on a piano,
right?
With a lot of push.
Yeah, it actually has some sound to it.
Let's face it, coming through an SVT with 8 10s.
Yeah, and
you know you're putting a P bass through there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a lot to keep up with. Mm-hmm. You right. know, but the thing is yeah, you're right. I hate a muddy sound. And that's one thing I used to hate when I do country gigs. These bass players, I'm like, when's the last time you changed your strings? Oh, I've had these strings on here for about 4 or 5 years now. And I'm like,
it's so bad.
Have you ever wiped them off or thought about pulling them off and boiling them or something?
It doesn't help. It doesn't help. Just throw them away and buy another set. You know, I know. I mean, I have a lot of basses and I change them constantly because I can't stand a dirty sound string. And you get a lot of modern bass lines that we've been listening to are like that. Unless you get a prog sound where they're playing a Rickenbacker or something, you're not getting it. Like last week, even with the Evanescence, that bass was muddy to me. It was just very sub low, B flats, E flats, you know, very low, just rumbles. They just rumble.
I think that's an area where I don't know why bands feel like they need to get down into that register.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I understand trying to have a full sound. I understand trying to capture the full graphics on a set of drums or on bass.
Right.
I understand that, but a lot of that gets by people that don't have high-end systems, or you're basically listening in a car, you know, or, you know, yeah. you just, you're at the mercy of what you thought was the best thing to get or what came in your vehicle. I mean, most people spend most of their time listening to music in an automobile.
Right. Well, see, for me, I want the bass I want to be able to hear the single notes. I don't want to just hear a rumble.
Right.
You know, like a muddy rumble through the whole song. And that's what we're getting a lot lately in these bands is they're not really paying attention to the bass sound much.
Yep.
I mean, the sound itself, you know. So unless you get somebody like a Billy Sheehan or something who's going to put all these crazy effects on it, you know, it's just going to get lost in the mix.
Doesn't even sound like a bass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, to me, you know, like I said, we talked about the drums. The bass was muddy to me. I didn't think the mix was very good on this. The guitars had some really great sounds for the most part. I think the guitars, they focused a lot to me on the guitar sounds and the vocals. Mm-hmm. And kind of the rest of the stuff, they just said, whatever, you know, like, I don't know. The lyrics were they had some wrong lyrics in there, left off some words, but you know, that could be a printing thing. I don't really dig much into that, but since I'm putting a knock on here, I went ahead and did that anyway. So.
The thing I think has happened is because obviously this is a project that they took on their own,
Mhm.
and they're getting their feet wet,
Yeah.
doing their own thing, and they're probably like a lot of bands out there right now that you don't make your money on selling your music to the public. You make your money in concert venues and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, and
If you ever can play live.
so many plays for them to even gather a penny in royalties.
Yeah.
On a fucking song. It just,
I know.
it is horrendous. So,
Yeah.
and that's a lot of the reason why you see a lot of bands doing their own productions and stuff.
Yeah,
And
it's coming that way for sure.
knock them for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. Yeah, I think it probably could have been mixed better. Like I say, I didn't miss anything. I don't think I missed anything they had on the record with my system, but not everybody's blessed to have this whole setup. But
if you go back and listen to a couple of those songs now, and you listen to the guitar solos and how far back in the sound they are in the mix, it's like it's almost like they just kind of set up and played, and the sound man forgot to turn them up when their time came.
Yeah, well, I think that they bury themselves a lot of times, and what winds up happening in recording situations when you put too much layered on top of the original sound, as far as effects or whatever, you wind up with phasing problems.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens? I don't give a damn how hard you try to bring it out front; it doesn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, even on the first song, there was this effect that was happening when he was hitting his snare. It almost sounded like somebody saying a word or something. It was like a If you listen to it, you gotta listen close in the headphones. Every time, but when he's not singing in the verses on Wicked Woman, you'll hear that weird sound, and it's like it was not necessary, just should have just let the drum sound itself. You didn't need all that. So I don't know. There was a few weird things like that's what I'm saying. The mix, I didn't like the mix. I didn't like the production. I liked the songs, even though some of them were kind of similar. I really like the singer. I think he's got a great voice. I think both the guitar players are exceptionally good guitar players, even though there were times that they did stuff I didn't think fit very well. But overall, I think it was a decent record. It's not a bad record. You'll listen to it, you'll listen to it and not take it off. I mean, you'll listen to the whole record. And I'm probably picking it a little more because I was expecting a better record from them.
It wouldn't surprise me that if in the future here, another couple of years down the road, that you don't have a remaster of this done, or they start bringing a couple of these songs into their newer works.
I'm not sure what company. I don't know what company the other two records they did were with. I wish I'd have looked that up a little bit. But the other ones seemed like they sounded better to me.
Right.
As far as production and mix. Like I was saying, this one, I don't even know who this record company, Come On Records, is, So, and you may be right. Maybe somebody will pick them up and do something a little better with them. And, I'm not knocking them as a band. I think they're a great band. I just think the production killed it for me on this one. So I'm giving this one a 7.2. Is as high as I can go with it now. The Rob Thomas thing, now that you put that in my head, is killing me a little bit because
sorry,
I didn't want to have the Rob Thomas thing in my head. I had him down more of like a Daltrey Shine Down, Three Doors Down type band, even though the songs are all over the place. There's not really, they're playing a little bit of everything. But yeah, 7.2 for me. I do like the band. I do like the singer. I think they have a great potential if they could get picked up by a good producer one day and do something.
I think so too. I'm gonna give them a 7.8.
7.8.
Yeah. Right. Because I really think they know what they're looking for.
Mhm.
I don't know what their budget is or anything.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of times in studio time, and we're still dealing with the COVID thing.
Yeah.
So we don't know how they had to approach recording this.
And I think you're right too. They took this one on their own and probably didn't have a lot of money. You
Right.
know, they did put a video out, which is pretty good video, I guess. I mean, they do, you know, you just have to watch the video. But the video was pretty good production. So
Yeah. And what I'm saying is I think they're getting their feet wet. And that's why I'm venturing to say that probably in the future, you're going to hear these songs because it doesn't seem like a theme album. It just seems like, you know, they had these songs and they wanted to record them.
yeah.
You know, and I think you're going to see these songs work their way into newer production where
Yeah.
they've amped them or they've actually done the whole recording again.
Yeah.
Or, you know, brought it back in and just had a remix done with the masters.
Yeah.
You know, the way I think, you know, they're definitely, to me, they're in the right ballpark. They
Mhm.
just fine tune it and, you
Yep.
know, get somebody that's got a lot of time under their belt producing.
Yeah. I think they're definitely on the rise. Definitely a band in the next few years to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah.
And I bet you live they're really good,
I'm sure they are.
you know. So
Well,
anyway, we'll wrap it up. Blacktop Mojo, terrible album cover. No, it's anyway, decent record. Go check it out. Blacktop Mojo. I gave it a 7.2. Mike gave it a 7.8. Yeah, good record.
Yeah.
You know. And until next time, y'all stay safe.
Peace out and listen to the music.